Once upon a time, in the vibrant city of San Francisco, lived Jessica Anderson, a 32-year-old woman with dreams as radiant as the Golden Gate Bridge. Her life seemed to follow the script of a fairy tale, complete with a charming husband named Brian, who swept her off her feet in their whirlwind romance. The couple shared laughter, dreams, and a comfortable home that echoed with the promise of a happily ever after. Jessica's initial days of marriage were filled with joy and contentment. Brian, a successful architect, provided for their needs, and together they built a life steeped in love and companionship. The couple often spent weekends exploring the city, trying new restaurants, and relishing the simple pleasures that married life brought. However, behind the facade of marital bliss, dark clouds were gathering. Brian's parents, especially his mother, Susan, cast a looming shadow over their relationship. Susan, an imposing figure with high social expectations, constantly pressured Jessica to conform to her standard. The opulent Anderson family, known for their affluence and social standing, expected nothing less than perfection from those associated with their. Susan's influence over Brian was undeniable, and Jessica felt the weight of her expectations pressing on her like an invisible force. The pressure to uphold the family name became increasingly burdensome, creating fissures in the once solid foundation of Jessica and Brian's marriage. Susan's relentless meddling, driven by a desire to maintain the family's impeccable reputation, began to erode the happiness Jessica once felt. As the months passed, Brian's behavior underwent a subtle but noticeable change. Late nights at the office, mysterious phone calls, and a growing emotional distance started to cast doubt over the idyllic life Jessica had envisioned. The couple's intimate moments became rare, and an unspoken tension lingered in the air. Little did Jessica know that the source of Brian's transformation lay in an affair with a man named Alex. Brian, torn between his true identity and the expectations of his family, sought solace outside the confines of his marriage. The revelation of this secret shook Jessica to her core, and the once unbreakable bond between them started to crumble. The pressure intensified as Susan, unaware of Brian's infidelity, continued to exert control over Jessica's life. The family gatherings became battlegrounds for Susan's disapproval, and Jessica found herself trapped between the love for her husband and the suffocating expectations of his family. As the seasons changed in San Francisco, so did the atmosphere within the walls of Jessica and Brian's once happy home. The subtle shifts in Brian's behavior grew into a palpable tension that hung heavy in the air. Jessica's intuition, that gut feeling one can't ignore, whispered to her that something was amiss. Brian's late nights at the office evolved into unexplained absences, and his once warm and loving demeanor transformed into a distant, almost indifferent disposition. Jessica felt the pangs of uncertainty gnawing at her, threatening the foundation of the life they had built together. The breaking point came when Jessica stumbled upon a series of messages on Brian's phone, cryptic exchanges filled with affectionate words and secret rendezvous plans. The discovery shattered the illusion of the fairy tale marriage she had believed in. The culprit behind the messages was revealed to be Alex, a man whose name had never before entered their shared realm. With a heavy heart and a mind clouded by a mix of disbelief and sorrow, Jessica confronted Brian. Tears flowed freely as the truth spilled out, the affair, the hidden life, and the struggle within Brian to reconcile his true self with the expectations of his family. In the wake of this revelation, a daunting decision loomed before Jessica. She faced a crossroads that demanded strength and resilience. Fueled by a desire for truth and closure, she made the courageous decision to hire a private detective. Unbeknownst to Brian, the detective began to unravel the tangled web of deceit that surrounded their marriage. Days turned into weeks as the investigator delved into Brian's secret life, gathering evidence that would expose the affair to the world. Jessica, torn between the pain of betrayal and the lingering love she still held for her husband, steeled herself for the impending confrontation. The private investigator's findings unveiled a complex network of lies and clandestine meetings, painting a picture of a man torn between societal expectations and his authentic self. The tension between Jessica and Brian escalated as the truth clawed its way to the surface, threatening to shatter the delicate balance they had maintained for far too long. The confrontation that ensued was raw, emotional, and marked by a profound sense of loss. Brian, confronted with the undeniable evidence of his infidelity, struggled to justify his actions. Jessica, armed with the truth, stood resolute, determined to navigate the storm of emotions that raged within her. As Jessica grappled with the aftermath of Brian's affair, a new layer of deception emerged. Susan, Brian's mother, was not oblivious to the cracks forming in their marriage. In fact, she had been orchestrating a plan of her own, one that would not only secure the family's reputation, but also cast Jessica as the scapegoat in this tragic tale. Unbeknownst to Jessica, Susan had discovered Brian's intentions to end the marriage after her upcoming 65th birthday. Brian's plan was to present his mother with an extravagant gift, a lavish gesture that would supposedly compensate for the dissolution of his marriage to Jessica. Susan, a master of manipulation, reveled in the prospect of maintaining appearances while secretly engineering the demise of Jessica's happiness. As the elaborate charade unfolded, Jessica found herself thrust into a whirlwind of events beyond her control. Yet, amidst the chaos, a spark of resilience ignited within her. Rather than succumbing to the role of a victim, she made a bold decision to play along with the facade, turning the tables on Brian and Susan. And with a steely resolve, Jessica concealed her pain behind a carefully crafted mask of compliance. She became a silent observer, weaving her own web of deception to expose the treachery that lurked within her marriage and the conniving plans of the Anderson family. To the unsuspecting eyes of Susan, Jessica appeared as the dutiful wife, planning a surprise celebration for Susan's milestone birthday. Behind the scenes, however, Jessica was meticulously gathering evidence, documenting the lies and deceit that had plagued her marriage. Every smile, every nod, and every act of compliance concealed a strategic move in her pursuit of justice. The days leading up to Susan's birthday were filled with tension and subterfuge. Jessica, armed with her newfound knowledge, skillfully navigated the elaborate dance of deception, all while plotting the grand unveiling that would expose Brian and Susan's betrayal to the world. The stage was set for Susan's extravagant birthday celebration at a renowned restaurant overlooking the city skyline. The elegant affair, a carefully curated spectacle, masked the storm that brewed beneath the surface. The culmination of Jessica's plan was designed to be a spectacle, a confrontation that would bring the truth crashing down upon the unsuspecting judge. As the night unfolded, the opulence of the event was overshadowed by a twist of fate. A seemingly innocuous moment, the presentation of the bill at the end of the evening, became the catalyst for chaos. Brian, confident in his ability to maintain control, found himself humiliated as the payment for the extravagant dinner was declined. Panic set in as the restaurant staff, guests, and even Susan herself witnessed the unraveling of the carefully constructed facade. In the chaos that ensued, Jessica seized the opportunity to expose the truth, laying bare the intricacies of Brian and Susan's deceit. The revelation sent shockwaves through the Anderson family, leaving them exposed and vulnerable. The aftermath of the failed payment at the upscale restaurant left the Anderson family in disarray. The grand facade that Susan and Brian had meticulously built crumbled, revealing the fissures in their carefully constructed world. Jessica, now the orchestrator of this unfolding drama, seized the opportunity to expose the truth and confront the betrayals that had shadowed her marriage. In the wake of the restaurant fiasco, Jessica embraced the role of a conductor, carefully directing the tempo of events that would lead to the grand crescendo of revelation. The stage for the final act was set, and the audience, unsuspecting family and friends, awaited the performance of a lifetime. With an air of calculated grace, Jessica invited Susan and Brian to a family gathering at the Anderson estate. The luxurious mansion, adorned with opulence that mirrored the family's social standing, became the backdrop for the confrontation that would lay bare the web of lies and manipulation. As the evening unfolded, Jessica, with a veneer of composure, guided the attendees through a meticulously planned sequence of events. The mansion buzzed with laughter and clinking glasses, yet an underlying tension pulsed through the air. The truth hung in the balance, a crescendo building towards the inevitable moment of revelation. The time arrived for Jessica to unveil the evidence she had collected during her charade. A hushed silence fell over the room as she took center stage, a determined glint in her eyes. The gathered guests, previously oblivious to the family's turmoil, were now ensnared in the unfolding drama. With a calm yet commanding voice, Jessica recounted the story of deceit that had poisoned her marriage. Each carefully chosen word served as a strike against the carefully crafted facade that Susan and Brian had. The air grew thick with tension as the truth echoed through the grand halls of the mansion. Brian, caught in the web of his own lies, struggled to maintain composure. Susan, the architect of the family's illusions, faced the undeniable truth that her manipulations had been exposed. The gasps and murmurs of the audience bore witness to the unraveling of the Anderson family's carefully woven tapestry. As the confrontation reached its zenith, Jessica presented the evidence. The incriminating messages, the clandestine meetings, and the orchestrated plan to end the marriage after Susan's birthday. The room, once filled with the illusion of familial bliss, now resonated with the echoes of betrayal, and the fallout was swift and unrelenting. Family members, friends, and guests grappled with the shock of the revelation. The Anderson family, once a symbol of affluence and societal grace, now faced the harsh light of truth. Jessica, having laid bare the deceptions that had tormented her, felt a strange mix of liberation and sorrow. The chapter of her life entangled with the Andersons had reached its conclusion, and a newfound strength propelled her toward a future free from the shackles of manipulation. The aftermath of the confrontation left Jessica with a mix of emotions: relief, sorrow, and a lingering sense of betrayal. The truth had set her free, but the scars of deception ran deep. As the dust settled, Jessica faced the daunting task of untangling herself from the remnants of a shattered marriage and the web of the Anderson family's manipulations. With a newfound strength, Jessica took control of her narrative. The revelation had exposed not only Brian's betrayal, but also the toxic influence of Susan and the suffocating expectations that had plagued her. Determined to reclaim her autonomy, Jessica made the difficult decision to sign the necessary divorce papers, severing the ties that bound her to a painful past. The ink on the divorce papers marked the end of a chapter, one filled with heartache, deceit, and the struggle for self-discovery. Yet, it also signaled the beginning of a blank page, inviting Jessica to pen the story of her own liberation. In the quiet solitude of her newly acquired apartment, Jessica found a sense of peace. The walls echoed with the gentle cadence of her breath, a rhythm attuned to the beating of her mended heart. The weight of deception lifted, replaced by a burgeoning lightness that hinted the promise of a brighter tomorrow. As Jessica sorted through the fragments of her life, she rediscovered forgotten passions and dreams that had been eclipsed by the shadows of her troubled marriage. The canvas of her future stretched before her, inviting bold strokes of reinvention and self-discovery. Surrounded by the warmth of sunlight streaming through her apartment windows, Jessica stepped into a new chapter of her life. The world outside beckoned with endless possibilities, and she embraced the freedom to shape her own destiny. The scars of the past served as reminders of resilience, a testament to her ability to rise from the ashes of betrayal like a phoenix. Jessica rekindled old friendships, cultivated new connections, and immersed herself in pursuits that brought her joy. The city of San Francisco, once a witness to the tumultuous chapters of her life, now became the backdrop for her metamorphosis, a city pulsating with the energy of rebirth. With each step, Jessica navigated the winding streets of her newfound independence. The scars faded, leaving behind a woman who had emerged from the crucible of adversity stronger, wiser, and more determined than ever before. The city, with its iconic landmarks and bustling streets, mirrored the resilience that defined Jessica's journey. The final chapter of the story was not an end, but a beginning. As Jessica stood on the precipice of her future, she embraced the freedom to sculpt her own narrative. Unburdened by the expectations of others, the sunlight bathed her in a warm embrace, a metaphorical baptism marking the rebirth of a woman who had found her voice and the strength to shape her own destiny. In this resolution, Jessica's journey came full circle. The shadows of deceit and manipulation were replaced by the radiant glow of self-discovery and the story of a betrayed wife transformed into an empowering tale of resilience, a testament to the indomitable spirit that resides within those who dare to rewrite their own narratives.